Hey everybody, welcome back to Chortle Games. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and along with me, the big boy himself, Steven.
Hi, I'm Steven, and I hate that nickname.
I changed it though. It's not the Star Wars big boy now, it's just
You are
the
misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding the part of the nickname I hate.
Oh, I thought it was solely the Star Wars thing.
I love Star Wars until you get to Episode 7.
This is why I call you the Star Wars big boy, because you love Star Wars.
But see, when you think Star Wars now, you instead of thinking Luke and Vader, you think Rey and Kylo, and I don't want my name to be tarnished by that.
Oh, wow. My name to be tarnished. Well, I won't tarnish your name any longer because this is ChortleCast, where we talk, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about TV shows, anime, movies, games, and anything else we want to talk about. Because this is a free show where we just do whatever the heck we want to do and have a good time.
When's the last time we talked about anime? It's been a while.
It's been a while. I don't know. It has been a long time. See, Brody's the bigger anime fan, and actually my wife would probably register as a bigger anime fan than me, but I do like anime. I'm going to talk a little bit about anime, but,
okay,
just a little bit.
I'm a very selective anime enthusiast, but yeah, it happens here. We talk about anime sometimes.
We do. It's just, I list a broad list because we eventually will cover most of those things, but it's not like a guaranteed thing,
And you never know what you're going to get with the ChortleCast.
You never know what you're going to get. I try to tell you in the beginning.
Mom always said that life is like an episode of ChortleCast.
You never know what you're going to
get.
I try to lay it out for you at the beginning, which is what I'm going to do right now. We're going to talk about a bunch of things. We're going to talk about some new release dates. We're going to talk about the Wreck-It Ralph 2 trailer. We're going to talk about PS Plus lineup for March. We're going to talk about that new Overwatch hero, and probably a lot of other crap that I can't even possibly predict. So get excited. Stay tuned. It's just me and Steven today. Miles was supposed to come on the podcast, but he had some serious life issues happening, so he got delayed. And Brody has had probably one of the worst work days I've ever heard about, where so for those of you that follow us on Twitter, Brody is a delivery person. He delivers things. He works for kind of it's a cool idea company. They basically it's kind of like Postmates. They'll pick up anything for you for, I think their delivery fee is $5. So anyway, Brody has had a horrible day of delivering and is in a very bad mood. So he said he's not coming on in an effort to not spoil the mood. So anyway, everybody send good vibes to Brody. But it's just me and Steven, a no bro show, as we like to call it.
There's been a few of those.
Lately.
Yeah.
So we like to start off the Chortlecast with a little segment we call Catch Up. But you know what, Steven? I don't really have anything to catch you up on. So you know what I'm feeling?
Yeah. What are you feeling?
I'm feeling a new segment. It's called the Hype Train.
The Hype Train.
Put in that little graphic. There it goes. Okay.
Need some. Yeah.
So yeah, Hype Train, because I haven't had time to play much this week. The things that I have had time to play with, I've already talked about. Things like Owlboy, that sort of stuff. Fortnite, everybody knows about Fortnite. But I am hyped for Ni No Kuni 2.
What is Ni No Kuni 2?
Well, Steven, let me just tell you, it is the second installment in the Ni No Kuni series, which I believe it came out on PS4, the first one did. I don't know how I missed this game, because Studio Ghibli, who does all the Miyazaki animated, anime movies that we all know and love, they animated the cutscenes, and the style of the game is based off of that kind of art style.
Oh, wow.
I think what might have turned me off to it was I think there was some turn-based elements involved, but it was also, I want to say, I don't have exact dates, but I was probably in my early to late teens when that came out, and so it was probably one that just flew under my radar. I never heard about it. Anywho, all that to say, people have been long awaiting Ni No Kuni 2, which is kind of like It's been on a long building cycle, kind of like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where it was 6 years, or even Kingdom Hearts now, which is, going on 15 years or whatever. It's been a slow build. I heard about this, I think at E3, when there were rumors that it might be coming to Switch. I looked at it, just kind of looked at it, said, that looks interesting. If it comes to Switch, I'll probably get it. Later on, I was doing some research, looking at what I'm pre-ordering this year, and I found out that's not coming to Switch. And I said, you know what? I don't know that I really want it. Don't know that I really care. The more I keep seeing, the more I keep learning. And the Miyazaki thing, Studio Ghibli is doing the animations, that sort of stuff. I was like, okay, I'm really interested, but what's the gameplay like? What am I going to be doing in this game? Well, Steven, this week I sat down, finally, and I watched some gameplay of Ni No Kuni 2. And oh my god, it looks so good. It looks like an anime. Like, we were playing Naruto to Boruto.
Naruto to Boruto, Shinobi Striker.
I'm going to start calling it Naruto to Burrito. Because that's what I always want to say too. Anyway, that kind of it felt like the anime type style.
Yeah.
This is better than that.
Oh.
The art style and the way it looks is beautiful. The gameplay I saw, they were in. So Ni No Kuni is kind of a parallel world to ours, and it's got like anthropomorphic people in it who are like part animal, part whatever. And like their towns and kingdoms are kind of broken up as such. So like you're playing as the dethroned king of the cat kingdom, and so your character's got cat ears and a cat tail and a sword. So he looks cool, and he's got a cape. That's a cape is another checkbox in Jake's. You piqued my interest in your game. Cat ears and tails as well. Anyway, the gameplay footage I saw was it was like the puppy kingdom, so that everybody's dogs and whatnot. I forget what they called it. It was a funny name. It was like Pulsar Town or something. Anyway, there were neon signs and like a lot of Japanese style buildings and everything. It just looked so cool. And then I mentioned I felt like the last game was a little turn-based. This is very much a lot of the battles seem to happen like a turn-based battle happens, where you walk up to an enemy, it goes da-na-na-na-na-na, and then you're in a battle. But it's all fluid. It's all, you're moving around, you're doing the fighting. It's a lot like Okami. Okami did the same thing, where you would walk up, you could see, there's an enemy. If I get too close to them, it's going to engage me in a battle, and I'm going to have to sit there and do that. So you would avoid those kind of things. That's what it looks like. But they said that what I saw of that was like their overworld map. And they said that in tighter areas where like you're in a certain place, those battles will happen fluidly. Like you won't even have that moment where it's like da-na-na-na-na-na, and you're in the fight. So, but everything, it's not turn-based. It's very much like you're fighting, you're mashing buttons, you're doing combos. You have a party, and you can switch between who you're playing in the party. Each party member has a ranged a weapon and a close attack weapon. They've got like actually 3 or 4 that they can cycle through. So like, it looked so cool, and I'm hyped for it now. So I'm probably going to live stream it when it comes out. Steven may be there to watch with me. So I'll get to show you at some point. But it looked really, really good.
It sounds interesting. I do really appreciate when anime, like the style of anime, like art style. I mean, I don't know why that was so hard to say. I really appreciate when that's put into video game form.
Right.
Well, but I'm a little disappointed that you 3 times said turn-based was a bad thing.
Oh, I know that's one of your checkbox, Steven. That's why.
It depends on the turn-based, but yes, that's one of my checkboxes.
While we're on the topic of turn-based, I was listening to another podcast this week, and they were discussing kind of like dream scenario for the Switch Pokemon game. Because this week, I don't know if you're aware, Steven, but Pokemon Day was this week. And I think Pokemon turned 22, something like that. Anyway, they were talking about that, And one of the people said that they hope the game evolves to where you don't have turn-based combat. And Pokemon is the only game that I like the turn-based element. So it would be.
So when you say turn-based,
I mean
like traditional Final Fantasy.
Yes, like it's my turn.
Okay.
Press this button. Character A do this. Character B do that. Like, yeah, that's what and even like, and I was okay with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, because that's very much okay. This person can do this move, and then now it's your turn. You do your thing. Okay, I'm watching. Okay, it's my turn again. That sort of stuff. Yeah.
So when I hear turn-based, I think Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, XCOM 2, 5 p.m. Tuesdays, Chortle Games, but. That's one of my favorites. Is that because I understand like the traditional RPG, like party of 3 versus enemies turn based, that can get kind of stale, and Final Fantasy did kind of revolutionize the way that combat happened into more of a fluid active. But I just wanted some clarity there.
So let me clarify. I think I prefer the XCOM style, where you've got a full team, you're doing whatever.
There's a whole map.
Yeah,
there's more.
Yeah. Then you're in a box. You see your enemy, and you just have to stand there while they punch you. You can't react. You know.
The distinction there is turn-based versus turn-based tactical.
There you go.
Turn-based tactical is the camp of XCOM, Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, XCOM 2, Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Chortle Games.
Well, in that case, I like Pokemon's turn-based, not tactical. That's the only one I like. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
Steven, you're also hyped for something, which is why I decided to change this segment to the hype train. What are you hyped about, Steven?
So back in 2012,
I love how we both did this setup. Like, let's take a journey. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, actually, back in 2012, there was a little game that came out called Far Cry 3. To this day, it is my favorite FPS. Just hands down. Favorite first-person shooter. And probably in my top 5 favorite games ever. And people hear that and they're like, oh, it wasn't that great. Well, you're wrong. Let's talk about it sometime.
You're just wrong.
But you're just wrong. But they came out with a little game called Far Cry 4, which did everything Far Cry 3 did, but not as good. They just kind of put a skin over it and called it a new game.
That's the one that takes place in, is it Korea, or it's a Japanese? It's
Asia? Indonesian, I think.
Yeah.
So or something like that. It's like up in the Himalayas or something.
It's the villain's the guy with the pink suit, right?
Yes,
that
Pagan
one.
Man.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, voiced by Troy Baker. It's not great.
Right.
It's just hey, been here, done that, but not as interesting as the last time I did this. It has been, well, I don't actually know when Far Cry 4 came out, but it's been a few years. It's been a few.
Right.
Like maybe 2014, I think. Far Cry 5 is finally coming. It was supposed to come out a few days ago, but they delayed it. And I've been telling myself this whole time, I've been saying, Steven, don't hype yourself. Because you have such a high bar from Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 nailed it. Far Cry 5 is going to have an uphill battle, because if it's more Far Cry 4 than 3, you're going to disappoint yourself.
Right, that's a problem.
Then they announced the season pass, and we actually haven't gotten to talk about this on a ChortleCast. We talked about it on some streams.
We haven't.
They announced the season pass, and the season pass is, not making this up, the first expansion is zombies.
Right. Gotta have your zombies.
Second expansion, gotta have it. Second expansion is Vietnam, the war. And the third expansion is arachnid aliens on Mars.
I'm so curious to see how they're gonna bring all of these elements together.
Right.
For this
and
game.
all of this is in a game that takes place in Vermont. Like, what? But then they were like, they had that lasso going, and then this was the shot where they nailed it. I'm in. Like, they could pull me in. I'm not even gonna fight. They hooked me. Far Cry 3 is getting a remaster with the season pass for free 4 weeks earlier than its actual release. I heard that and I was like, well,
I'm getting this.
I'm getting this. So I'm gonna drop the full price on the game. But that coupled with extreme boredom at work, with having to be at the front desk for several hours, I've been looking at gameplay for it and listening to commentary on it, reading articles about it, and oh my gosh, this game sounds so good compared to 4. Because people were complaining that Far Cry 4, did more of the same. You had the Ubisoft staples like massive open world with cultural distinctions that you climb a radio tower.
You got to find all the findable, collectible things.
That is a thing of the past.
Oh, really?
Because now in Far Cry 5, it is dynamic exploration to where if you need to find where animals are to hunt, like say deer, if you're walking on the side of the road and you see a sign that has deer on it, like deer crossing, you now know deer are in that area.
Interesting. Okay.
You can go to towns, rescue some people from the cult that's overtaken Hope County, and one guy might say, "Yeah, there's a stash from a Doomsday Prepper that's somewhere around here. It's marked on your map." So it's no longer just marking these one areas to do a clean sweep. It's now you have a reason and a need to actually go there yourself and explore these places. And I love that.
Yeah.
There's airplanes and helicopters now. You can get in dogfights. NPCs will actually, like if you save them, they'll pick up guns and fight alongside you. You can hire them to be your wingman. It sounds like the full package.
And then the whole thing's in co-op. So
it is. Oh my gosh. My biggest box of all.
Right. The big box.
the entire game. Because with Far Cry 3 was a very big departure from Far Cry 2 in that it was a lot more streamlined, because Far Cry 2 was a whole nother thing. A lot of people say it's their favorite. I disagree because of the story, but it was good. Far Cry 3 was a departure in that they were trying so many new things. And with Far Cry 3, it was the full package because it was a great, robust campaign with good open world shooting mechanics, all that kind of stuff. It had a pretty decent multiplayer. It had a separate co-op campaign. And then it had a map editor, all this stuff. It was just everything.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, co-op campaign, maybe in the future we'll get a full co-op. Then Far Cry 4 comes out, and they're like, hey kids, play it with your friends, but only in the open world. You can't actually do anything together. So great, you actually had the ability to make this game co-op, but you didn't.
Right.
Pretty much. And then this game that I like to forget exists called Far Cry Primal comes out, and they just don't even have co-op at all. And then finally,
that
Far
one was
Cry
kind
5,
of a throwaway. I feel like
it was.
I don't really know where that came from, but
I feel like that was one of those things where they were like, "Hey, let's make a prehistoric game. Let's put Far Cry on it so it'll sell copies."
Right.
And I never played it. It had one mechanic called Fangs for Hire where you could actually tame animals.
Right.
Which is in Far Cry 5. So.
Oh, I love how you just did that. Just what? It's in Far Cry 5. Well, that's great. Well, it sounds like it's going to hit all the right places. I frankly am not interested. I'm going to be you and I are going to be doing a live stream and a let's play of it when it comes out. So it may change my mind, and I may not give Brody my copy after I'm done with it.
Hey, all I'm saying is, you said I'm not going to like Destiny. And then you did.
That's true.
A little too much.
Yeah, I guess a
point
little
to
too
where we
much.
all left you.
But
yeah,
everybody left me on that one. But
I did tell Miles there is fishing in Far Cry 5. There's hunting and there's fishing.
There's hunting.
And I told him that. He was like, you can probably imagine what he said. It was inappropriate, but it was something along the lines of, "Yeah, I'll play that game."
I really want to do a live stream or a let's play or something where whoever wants to be a part of it, but we play fishing with Miles. Like we all play some fishing game, like I don't know, like Fishing Simulator 2018 or whatever. That's got multiplayer. We could all go fish with Miles, just because I want to see how much he freaks out over it.
I don't even know if he's ever been fishing. in real life.
That's what he said. He always says that. He's always like, I never went fishing in real life, but I love it in video games. You know what we should do? And if he listens to this, it'll be spoiled, but at least he can look forward to it. When you guys come up here in a few weeks, and we start recording some stuff, I should get a VR fishing game, and we just put Miles in it, and we all just sit back and laugh at his enjoyment of it.
Yes.
Does that sound like a good plan? I'm going to do that.
We almost did that last time we were up there, but it took too long to download.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that. But anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of exciting things to look forward to on the channel. All right, Steven, we're going to dive off the hype train now and get into some news. But the first bit of news has a lot of hype. We got a new release date today for something that already had a release date. But instead of being delayed, it got bumped up. I'm talking about unheard of, unprecedented. I'm talking about Avengers Infinity War, baby. It's coming out April 27th now, a full week early.
If I had air horns, if I ever just this is an air horn moment. It really is. It really is.
This is the only air horn moment that's ever been justified in the universe of anything, because
I agree. Did you see how they announced the release date?
So, no, because all I saw was a tweet that just said Infinity April 27th. And I was like, huh? And then I got the rest of it. Something about Robert Downey Jr. had a tweet or something. So tell me the story,
here's what I saw.
Steven. Regale me.
So what I saw was Robert Downey Jr. tweeted at Marvel. He was like, "Hey, when's that Infinity War movie coming out?" They're like, "Oh, May 6th." And he's like, "That's cool. Can I maybe see it a little earlier?" And they're like, "How's April 27th sound?" "Yeah, with my friends, of course. Infinity War coming out April 27th." It was like, what?
That's hilarious.
But I guess Robert Downey Jr. asks for it. And, they make it so. Yeah, I've got it right here.
Do you think that was scripted? Like, did they just...
Oh, it was absolutely scripted.
Okay. Well,
I've got it here. Marvel Studios tweeted out, "On a scale of 1 to infinity, how excited are you to see Infinity War on May 4th? Robert Downey Jr. responds, "Any chance I could see it earlier?" Marvel Studios says, "Anything for you, Mr. Stark. How's April 27th? Great. With friends? You mean these friends?" And they show the frame of the Avengers running together. Downey says, "The entire world?" Marvel Studios says, "That's a fantastic idea. Done." And then just drops the release date.
Wow. Wow.
Good stuff.
I wonder, I mean, I feel like obviously it's been done for a while, so that's fine. But you've spent so much marketing. Hell, you had a Super Bowl commercial that showed the date as May 6th. Like, that's crazy. This is all good news. It's just I'm trying to dig down into is like what made them say, "Hey, let's just do it." But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it may have to do with some other releases. For some reason, maybe they're trying to dodge something. And I kind of laugh at that thought because it's like, what could Avengers be afraid of? Yeah, for real.
Hold up. Does DC have something coming out on April 27th? Are they trying to, like, overshadow something?
No. I don't think so.
I don't know.
And besides, Kevin Feige is, as the internet puts it, a generous god. He wouldn't do that to DC.
I guess it's true. He's a benevolent god, yeah.
A benevolent god, yes.
That's awesome.
You bring up a good point, because Avengers hasn't really even been marketed that much at all. And it's really funny to see that, because it's like Marvel movies up to this point, and maybe when we roll into April, they're really going to hit it hard, which they probably will with, like, press tours with the cast and stuff, but we don't see commercials. We've gotten 2 trailers, one of which was a Super Bowl ad, which Marvel already does every time. Right. And so my thing is, like, the biggest movie they've ever done. Like, do they realize that they honestly don't have to market this thing at all? I don't know.
It's funny that you say they haven't, because I feel like they have, but they could have done more. Like, I felt like there was more. I've heard more about Black Panther than I have Avengers. Like, it doesn't.
Oh, absolutely.
It doesn't feel like Avengers is coming out next week, which obviously Black Panther just came out, so that's kind of why that's like that. But I don't know. You're right. It could ramp
and
up.
Maybe that's why. Yeah, maybe it's because Black Panther is still the big thing. But like, even moving into Black Panther, like there were commercials, there were like 4 trailers. It just seems weird to me, and you know what? I'm kind of okay with it, even though part of me is like, no, show me now.
Right.
But I'm kind of okay with going into this movie having no idea.
Right. Yeah.
It adds to the tension and the surprises, and a large part of me, like, and I would probably disagree with myself up until a week before the movie comes out, but I kind of want to go into this movie blind.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they don't have to sell it to me. I'm sold.
Right.
I'm going to see it probably 3 times in theaters.
We've been sold.
We've been sold since, like, 10 years ago.
Right. I hope it's good. I don't know how. It'd be hard to fail at this point, but knowing how people didn't like... if it's more Captain America Civil War, it'll be great. But
Well, and it seems like it will be, because, you know, the Russos did Civil War and Winter Soldier, and they're doing this one.
Right.
And a lot of the biggest complaints about Age of Ultron were very Joss Whedon related.
You're not a big Josh Whedon fan this week, are you?
I used to be. I really did. I loved Firefly and Serenity.
Right.
I really enjoyed Avengers 1. Heck, in college, I did a presentation on the guy.
Right.
But he just has been rubbing me the wrong way the past few years.
Right.
And I don't know. And I personally, like, I don't know if we talked about this, but Batgirl got,
I don't know if we've announced it, but Josh Whedon is no longer a part of Batgirl. I don't know that we ever really talked about, like, oh, they're making a Batgirl movie, but, like, they've been planning it for a while. I'm excited about it. But, yeah, Josh Whedon's apparently no longer associated to it.
My thing is, there's no need for a Batgirl movie right now. DC has too much of a problem on their hands that is the DC Cinematic Universe right now, to where, like, they need to, you know, actually put out good content that gets us attached to their franchise before they get that niche audience out there with Batgirl of all people.
Yeah.
And Joss Whedon, he was involved with Justice League. He picked up the slack when Snyder had to depart the project, understandably so, but I feel like a lot of the problems with Justice League, un-CGI mustache related,
came
were
Whedon?
just, or at least were contributed by him. And it's not to say that he made it a bad film, but when you have something that changes from the tone of Zack Snyder, who is the, you know, hates color, slow-mo everything, to Joss Whedon, who is many characters, for the love of God, tell a joke in every single thing, it didn't blend. And I feel like that's part of the problem, or at least a pretty significant part of the problem. But that's neither here nor there.
All right, well, before we jump off of the Avengers hype train, I want to talk about another kind of rumor that's going around right now. And this also transpired over Twitter, so take it with a grain of salt. But a guy tweeted at James Gunn. His name's Ian Free on Twitter. I don't know if he may just be a fan or something. I don't really know. Anyway, he
probably is.
Anyway, he tweeted at James Gunn and said, "Could you do me a huge favor and find a role for Mark Hamill in Guardians 3? The awesomeness of it may end me, but I'm willing to risk it. Thanks." James Gunn replied, "I think Mark Hamill," and he tagged him, "lives around the corner from me in Malibu, so he can just come over and we can talk about it over a cup of coffee." Mark Hamill responds to this and says, I would be happy to do so, both as a good neighbor and as an unemployed actor. All the best, Mark Hamill." And then James Gunn says, "Haha, let's do it." And then Mark Hamill's like, "DM me with for my contact if you're serious, and if you want to be a good neighbor, XOXO, Mark Hamill." And then James Gunn's like, "I will, but I don't know if I can DM for you." And then Mark Hamill's like, anyway, they start working out the details of like how he can DM them. But like, okay. So
talk about like two of the best people in Hollywood.
I know, right?
Like they're both great. I love both of them. And I would love to see Mark Hamill in Guardians 3. And that's one of those things where like James Gunn would totally be open to it. He would totally make that happen.
Oh yeah. He's a cool enough director that like if he can make something work, it's gonna happen. Who could Mark Hamill play, Steven? You're a bigger Guardians of the Galaxy fan than I am. What would your dream role for Mark Hamill be?
See, that's interesting because my first thought, because I thought of this, like, as soon as you said it, I was like, Space Clown. Like, that's
Space
where my...
Clown? Is that a character?
The Joker.
Oh, okay. The Joker.
I was like, is there a space clown in Guardians of the Galaxy?
How do we fit the Joker in the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. Because like, Mark Hamill has so much more range as a voice actor.
I was going to say, I hope they make him a villain. Because we know he can make a great villain.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if there was a certain character that you just think, he would be great.
See, to me, I don't know if I would put him in a like live action role. Mm-hmm. I would say like give him the voice of another character.
Like what if he played Groot's father or like the lead?
Groot's father is Groot.
I know. As soon as I said that, I realized that as well. I meant more like what if he was the leader of Groot's people?
The Groots.
The Groots. Planet Groot.
What a waste. What a waste of Mark Hamill, Jake.
I know, I'm sorry. I realized that too. He plays Swamp. But some of his race can speak, right?
It's funny you say that because when Groot was introduced in Annihilation Conquest, I'm doing a huge nerd dump here.
I'm fine with nerd dumps.
Annihilation Conquest.
If you're going to take a dump, it might as well be a nerd dump. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
In Annihilation Conquest, that is the run that introduced what we now know as the modern Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. Star-Lord was working as head of security for the Kree Empire.
Right.
And this, I forget what they were called, but this alien race basically overtook Hala, which is the Kree homeworld. Mm-hmm. And Star-Lord was rescued, but was put together a task force to go back with low-tech weapons so they couldn't be detected because this race could detect technology. And so in his group was... Rocket and Groot, and the first panel of Rocket and Groot meeting each other is one of my favorites because they're telling him as they're giving him the sit rep, they were like, yeah, the raccoon and the tree have taken to each other. And it shows Rocket with a minigun, and then it zooms out, and Groot is holding Rocket and the minigun in his hand like a turret. As soon as I saw that, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever because I read that before the movie came out, so I was totally in. But Groot, in the middle of that series, could talk. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And he talked like royalty.
Right.
And maybe I missed something.
Well,
but halfway...
Go ahead. Well, I'm sorry. I interrupted you. But as I understand it, he is like... From what I understand from the comics, he's the leader of his race. And he was is this brilliant scientist. But at some point, all he can say is Groot. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't really understand how that all happened.
That's what happened in Annihilation Conquest, is that he went from talking like royalty to, in the middle of their mission, all he could say was, I am Groot. And I have no idea what happened, and it's been a while since I read it. Maybe I need to go back and read it again. But I don't know. But, point being,
Mark Hamill
I wouldn't waste Mark Hamill.
If he was a Groot.
He would be a waste. I honestly would kind of love hearing him voice Cosmo the dog. Are you familiar with Cosmo?
Yes, but wasn't he in... He was in the first one, but he never voiced anything.
He was a cameo. Right, because Cosmo is a telekinetic, telepathic Russian space dog that is the head of security for the Guardians. And he is hilarious and wonderful in the comic books. He could do an
awesome job at that.
Yes.
Okay.
I would love a Mark Hamill Cosmo.
Okay.
Well, either that or Nathan Fillion. People have been saying that Nathan Fillion should voice Cosmo. Uh-huh. I just want to see Nathan Fillion in the MCU.
That would be great.
I love Nathan Fillion. But no, I think Mark Hamill as Cosmo would be awesome.
So you think, but either way, boiling it down, that's a good one. But boiling it down, he needs to do the voice of another character.
I think that's the best use of him because even though I love the guy, I haven't seen how he handles an intimidating role where he actually can do action and stuff. Because even in Last Jedi, they held him back a lot.
Yeah. Well, they saved him till the very end, and then... A lot of that is CG, from what I understand. So,
right, but even they even held that back.
Yeah,
like he didn't do anything.
It wasn't that crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that one of the best parts of Mark Hamill is his vocal range, and so I think that's the best use of him personally.
Yeah. Well, that would be cool. now we're off the rumor mill. Let's talk about some more dates that we got today. Detroit Become Human.
Yes, more hype.
Out.
Gosh, this is just a hype-filled...
You know what? I'm just going to call this the hype episode. Hype train episode.
Yes.
Detroit Become Human out May 25th. We finally have a date. And, Steven, it's a lot sooner than I thought it would be.
Same.
In fact, just today or yesterday, I've been working on a calendar for our channel and just trying to, like, keep up with what's coming out and what we need to be live streaming and doing and whatever. And I was looking today or yesterday at, like, okay, is there anything coming out that I need to be aware of to put on calendar? And as I was looking for that, Detroit Become Human was on a couple of those lists, but it's listed as spring of 2018. And I'm just like, man, that's so long. And then May 25th, like, that's 2 months away, Steven. That's not long to wait. Oh, I'm hyped. It's going to be awesome.
Yes. I am so ready. I've never played any of the... is it David Cage? Is that his name?
I believe that's right, yeah.
I've never played any of his games. And the only experience I have, because the internet is a cruel place, is the memes from Heavy Rain, you know, Sean! Right. Or Jason, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's David Cage. He's the one, with Quantic Dream. Yeah, that's the developer I couldn't think of. Mm-hmm. So,
but something about Detroit just looks amazing to me. Like I've said before, but like the bits where you play as the detective.
Yes.
I think, yeah. That, like, if I have the option to just play as him, I will do that, because that just looks so cool to me. Like blending detective work with negotiation just seems so cool.
Yeah, that, like, we've obviously, most people, if you've heard of this game, you've probably seen trailers of that moment that we're talking about with the detective character. But when at PSX they sat down in the audience and played it, and like everybody cheer what you want him to do. That sold me on the game so hard, because before then it was all just cutscenes and, you know, here's what you're doing, but like moving around, looking at bits of information, what can you find, saving the fish, like just all this random little stuff you could do, and all of that's going to affect further down the line. It's going to be a crazy game to play, and I'm really, really excited about it. But now we know when we're going to play it. So now I can pre-order. This is the moment. Once I have a release date, that's when I pre-order stuff. It's not until then. But anyway, that's...
I do sleeper pre-orders where I sometimes will put down money on a pre-order. I found out from GameStop a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was when Monster Hunter was coming out. They were like, "So are you ever going to pick up this copy of Injustice 2? And I was like, "Nope, put that money on Monster Hunter."
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Because sometimes they'll do, like, if you trade in games towards a certain game,
yeah,
you'll get. So my strategy there was Injustice 2 was coming out. That amped up my pre-orders or my trade-ins by like another 10%. And so I just put the excess down on Injustice, forgot about it, had that $5 later.
Right.
So sometimes I forget about what I have pre-ordered.
Wow, that's funny. That's why I do mine through Amazon, so I can look and see and have everything together and cancel it if I don't want it anymore and get my money back. Well, actually, I had never paid for it, so yeah. Okay. Let's talk about, let's shift over. This may be derailing our hype train a little bit, but Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, came out with their first full-length trailer. I think we've had some like short teasers, but we got our first minute and a half or so of footage and hype today, or recently this week. And I thought it looked really cool, but it was not as cool as I was hoping it would be. And Steven, you have some stronger thoughts about it than I do, but
I don't know how it was.
And I won't take those away from you, so go ahead.
Yeah. Wreck-It Ralph worked in large part because it was an homage to video game culture.
Yes. And a lot of nostalgia. I mean, it was a lot of older video game culture.
Huge nostalgia, absolutely.
Right.
But like seeing Ryu and Ken in Tappers or whatever it was called, getting a drink together, and like the him going through the box and pulling out the Metal Gear Solid exclamation point.
Right.
The circle, the video game boss Anonymous or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Bad Guys Anonymous.
Bad Guys Anonymous, yeah.
That all that was great, and it paid homage to the childhoods of so many people. But then you take Wreck-It Ralph 2 and you turn it into the Emoji Movie, and we have not seen any of that nostalgia. We've just seen these characters that we like. Those two characters are great, but we put them into literally a beat for beat the plot of Emoji Movie, which is notoriously hated.
Right.
I don't get it.
I didn't.
I
I didn't get that feeling until you said that earlier before we started filming. Of it felt like the Emoji Movie to you, and now when I look back at it, that's all I can think about.
Yeah, watch it again.
Yeah, that's all I can think about, and I hate that because the Emoji Movie was not good. But to be my optimist self, I've been reading a lot about like what the writers were going for and everything, and basically what they were trying to do is say you lived in a small town where this, like, small towns, especially we're in Mississippi. Small towns for us, there are some towns that are 20 years behind on technology, and even the towns we're in to some degree are a little farther behind than somewhere like New York or something like that. So imagine going from a small town to Tokyo, Japan, where like it's just massive overload of information and modern technology and all this sort of stuff. So their plot idea is, what if we took two old school small town people and thrust them into this wider world? How would that affect their friendship? I got none of that from the trailer that we've seen so far.
That's like, to me, that's like saying, hey, let's take the Avengers.
Right.
Take away their superpowers and have them grow a farm. Would you watch that? I'd probably still watch it because I'm devoted to the MCU, but I wouldn't be happy about it. Well, that's the point. Just like I'm going to watch this movie.
And I was about to say, yeah, exactly. To your point, I'm a Disney fanboy, so I'm watching this and I'm going to like it. Probably.
That's one of those things where it's like, you've given us one movie. We've met these characters. We like them. You don't take the second movie and turn everything on its head and give us nothing about the first movie.
Right.
You haven't earned that yet.
Right.
The second movie is supposed to be everything about the first movie, but better. That's what it's supposed to be. The third movie, by then, that's when you can take some liberties because we've seen a lot of what we can see with the characters in those movies. But doing that with the second movie is jumping the shark.
You know what also I don't like that Disney is doing right now?
What's that?
Sequels. I'm really not a big fan because I don't know that we talked about it on a podcast, but Incredibles 2 has also released their first full trailer, and I've heard some people say they love it, thought it was hilarious, and I've seen other people say, and I'm on this train, it looks like the first movie, but in reverse. So instead of being the cool action superhero, you're what the mom was doing in the first one. Which is interesting. Like, it's cool that, now we're seeing kind of that side, but is that going to be as interesting as what we saw in the first one? And even still, it's the same. I don't know. I'm not as excited about that one. I was excited when they announced Wreck-It Ralph 2. Now that I've seen it, I'm seeing it gives me a little bit of confidence because I at least kind of know what it looks like and what to expect. But at the same time, the Emoji Movie analogy really does scare me now. So I'm a little concerned about that. But I don't know. I just don't like them doing sequels. I mean, we all know my Pocahontas 2 rant, which I'm not going to get on, but that ruins the first movie. And so sequels are already hard enough, and Disney has always done one movie and moved on and let the fans continue to love and grow the lore. But it seems like now they're leaning more towards developing, sets of movies. So I don't know. It's an interesting world to live in. But did you have anything else to add to that? I feel like that was all.
That was the gist.
That's the gist. Hope it's not the Emoji Movie too. That's what
yeah. My understanding in Wreck-It Ralph 2 was that we were going to get more of the iconic video game characters. Like we were going to see more Sonic, maybe some Mario, stuff like that. You know, everything that the first one did, but more of it and better.
You know who the villain
And
of this
now-
movie is going to be, right?
Who?
Candy Crush, right? I don't know this for sure. I'm just saying, it's gonna be Candy Crush, right? Because we had King Candy, and now it's gonna be Candy Crush.
Candy Crush was in Emoji Movie.
Oh, never mind.
was like-
I guess
it was
it's not
a
gonna
full
happen.
scene.
I know it was a full scene.
You know,
What I wanted
I
from
hate
Wreck-It Ralph
everything.
2 was I wanted to take them to modern video games.
that's what I thought was going to happen.
I don't know why they
like a home console kind of thing or something.
Yeah. I don't know why they bursted it to the internet. And another thing that I was curious about was how are they going to get to the internet? And like this trailer showed the guy bringing in his first Wi-Fi router, plugging it into the central plug, which is how everybody got between game to game. I like seeing that, but they could have easily had. What if an arcade had an Xbox, or a PlayStation that suddenly had all of these games? Like that would be. They could get into that and get into all those things. That would have been a cool.
Yep.
What about modern gaming now? What if we had done that? But I don't know. We're on this ship now. The ship set sail. So.
Yep.
Oh well. Let's get back on the hype train, Steven. We went on a little detour.
Took it.
I'm cranking it back.
Yep.
I'm striking a hard left.
Okay.
I'm hitting that lever on the side of the railroad that switches the tracks. We're switching tracks, baby. We're back on the hype train. PS Plus lineup for the month of March was great. Is great because it's about to happen. We got Bloodborne and Ratchet and Clank. I'm assuming this is the remaster that they did, or like the most recent one.
It's probably the film tie-in one.
That's what I was thinking, but I haven't gotten full confirmation on that. But
I think that one was just titled Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of rebooting the series,
Yes.
so I think that's
okay, that's what I
it
thought
is.
too. Both huge, well received,
Yeah.
and well loved AAA titles. And then like the other two, that's your PS4 games, and then they do the PS3 and the PS Vita games, which they announced they're not doing anymore as of a year from now. So next March we won't have that; it'll just be PS4 games. Anyway, Legend of K for PS3. Steven, did you ever play that?
I did not.
It is, again, a game with anthropomorphic, I'm saying that wrong, creatures. You play as Kay, and you are this tiger cat-like person who you learn to use the sword. You learn to use all these different weapon types, and you go fight the rats, and I forget who the other villain is. The main villain is somebody cooler than a rat. I can't remember. Anyway...
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
It
Anything
could be a lot of
cooler than
things,
that. But you fight all these different things. It's a great game. So if you haven't played it, I think it's cross-buy with PS4. That was the other thing. Like all of these are cross-buy with PS4. Like very rarely is that a thing. Mighty Number 9, which was received with mixed views. It's kind of a Mega Man-like thing.
Yeah.
Claire Extended Cut, which I'm on PS Vita, and then Bombing Busters, which is also on PS Vita. The PS Vita games are usually pretty unheard of and smaller, but
Right.
But I've heard
That's all PS Vita
well,
games.
yeah, I've heard of some better things from these. But anyway, a great lineup. But then they announced that a year from now, PS3 and PS Vita games will no longer be a part of the service. What do you think about that, Steven? Because I've heard a lot of mixed feelings on that recently.
I think that PS Vita has been one of those things where I never hear about it.
Right. I mean, it's basically
And-
been dead. They've said they're not making any new systems for it. PlayStation has pretty much shifted to PSVR, and that's where they're headed.
Yeah.
So go ahead, say.
They gave the 3 regarding that support for longer than you'd think they would have.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they did.
So I think the 3 it's time for it regarding that to kind of
To
right
move
off
on.
into the
Yeah,
sunset.
right off in the sunset.
Yeah. Vita. The Vita is just unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
It had 2 or 3 maybe good games.
Right.
And there was no salvaging it because it just it doesn't surprise me that they're stopping it. And it's like at some point there's not really a library for you to give free games for that people are going to get.
Right.
And so it's, I guess from a PR standpoint, you could say that it's drawing attention away from their failures.
Right.
And saying the PlayStation 4, be here, this is where all of our focus is.
Right.
Which makes sense because it's like Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation said, don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass one
There
thing.
you go. That's what I'm talking about. I like that. That's a good quote. I share the same feelings with you on this. I hardly download the PS3 games anymore. I rarely download the PS Vita ones. Pretty much, if those don't cross by with PS4, I don't even worry about them. Unless they're just something crazy, and then I try to fire up the PS3 that I still have that doesn't really work. But all that to say, I get those going away. What has surprised me is there are a lot of people who are mad about it. And not just mad that they're taking those away, because I don't think they're mad that, I won't have my free PS3 game that I play every time. Like, they're not upset. They're upset that now we're going from 6 or so games to just 2. So it's a downgrade on the service. But like you and I just said, rarely do you download those games anyway. So are you really losing what you're not using? It's like you said, whole ass, don't half ass. You know what I'm saying? So
yes, and maybe who's to say that the cutting of the trimming of the fat there won't give us higher quality rather than quantity. So we're getting Bloodborne, which is a huge deal.
Yes.
And so who's to say that won't be it moving forward? That they'll actually give us good stuff.
I 100% agree with you, but I've seen people saying, nope, this just means it's, they're trimming the fat and leaving it how it is. But I hope, so they've been pretty good about basically every 2 months or so, they'll give PS Plus members a VR game that they'll have 2 months to download or something like that. I hope that eventually it's, here's your 2 PlayStation games, here's your 2 VR games, and that's your gift from PlayStation Plus. And so we've lost the PS3 and the Vita, replaced that with PSVR, and we moved on with our happy-go-lucky lives. But they didn't. Sony has not given any confirmation of that. But we have a year, so maybe by the end of this year we'll know something like that, and go on from there. So. Well, let's move on. Our last, the caboose of the hype train, if you will. Unfortunately, the person who would be the most hype about this news story is not here with us. And in fact, Steven doesn't really even like this game. So don't tell me it's not true.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say it.
All right.
I'm not even going to comment or give validity to that statement. Let's go on.
It is as it is.
I do have Brody's texts pulled up regarding
here we go. Well,
the topic, though.
Overwatch announced their 27th hero, and I am going to botch her name, but it's like Brigette. I keep wanting to call her Brigitte. Brigitte. Thank you. There you go. That's something like that.
That's how I pronounced it. Yeah.
They say it really kind of weird. If you want to get the right pronunciation, go watch the video. They announced her. It's Torbjorn, who's the kind of dwarfish guy. It's her daughter, who in the lore and in the world has been working as a squire for I'm forgetting his name. Shoot. Why can't I think of his name? He's the big shield guy.
Crap.
I know, right? I can't think of his name. I'm just completely drawing a blank here. Reinhardt. Thank you.
Yes.
She's been
good old Ryan.
She's been working with good old Reinhardt as his armor repair person. So anyway, the lore is she's tired of healing and fighting or fixing things post battle. She wants to be on the battlefield. So she's got full armor, she's got a shield, and she's got this like mace type weapon. And she is a tank, a support tank, as Brody calls it. So she basically, like Reinhardt, is swinging her mace around. Brody was saying something about she regenerates health based off hits. So as she's fighting someone, she's regaining health. As a tank, she obviously has a lot of health already, but she also has a shield. Her shield's kind of interesting because it just protects her and anything directly behind her. But she can do a shield bash to stun enemies or push them back a little bit. Her ult is something, I think it gives everyone armor repair packs, which is something she can do. But basically, kind of like, why am I forgetting all these characters' names? Zenyatta. Like Zenyatta can throw an orb that heals or constantly damages somebody, she can throw a repair pack that will build armor. It'll heal somebody, but say you're at 90% health, and I throw an armor pack at you, and it heals 20% health, it'll build you an extra 10% armor.
It's like an overshield.
Right, so it overshoots a little bit. So, anywho, she sounds like a great character. Brody has been losing his mind. He apparently, I don't get this story at all. Overwatch is one of Brody's favorite games, but he traded it in for something. I assume Monster Hunter.
Probably Monster Hunter.
But I don't know. So I'm like shocked he traded that in. But he's like been like, oh my gosh, can I borrow your game? Can I borrow whatever? Which I don't know why you traded it in, because I don't know how much you get for it, but it's only like $30 right now, which for me, for that game, is so worth it. If you're a shooter, first person kind of person. Anyway, but all right, Steven, why don't you, since you don't have an opinion on this, why don't you read Brody's text of opinions freaking out when this announcement was made?
Are you going to censor me? You're going to have to censor me.
Censor the F words, but everything else is fair game.
Okay, let me go back to it, because that's basically all of it.
Yeah, I asked him today. Steven's going to read text from yesterday when it happened. I texted him today. I was like, what do you want to say? And he kind of sent me like the details of what she can do. And I was like, I got that. Like, what do you think about her? Like, is she going to be cool? And he was just like, F yeah, she is. I was just like, okay, that's all I got to say for you. So, Steven, go ahead.
Should I do a Brody voice? I don't really know how to do a Brody
voice. Go for it.
voice.
I'd love to hear that. I'd love to know what that sounds like.
Hi, my name's Brody.
I love it.
New Overwatch character, and I sold my game 2 weeks ago. Piss. Just released her origin story 8 minutes ago. It's Brigitte, Torb's daughter. Piss! She's a support tank. That's what I've wanted since the damn game came out. She sounds cool as piss. I need to play her.
Did he say piss that much, or did you replace a few words?
Piss was the replacement for the F word.
I understand.
Yeah.
Fair game. Because I was going to say, Brody doesn't say piss very often, so that really must have been something. So anyway, that's a hype moment. Brody is very hyped for that.
Yeah.
So I love when Overwatch comes out with new heroes. I'm so glad they're doing this. The thing I'm most excited about is the Jetpack Cat. We saw Jetpack Cat in her origin story. It's been a thing for a while, because I know Jeff, who's one of the key developers for Overwatch, he's talked before about like characters that they scrapped. One of them was a cat with a jetpack, and I thought that was just the coolest thing ever, and a lot of the other people did too. So that's kind of been building since then. Like they said that was a scrapped character, saw how many people loved it, and said, and I feel like they're slowly working on that now. So, but we saw a cat, we saw Brigitte putting a jetpack on it. I can only hope what's coming next. But anyway, I love seeing the new heroes. We've had another monkey character hero rumored for a long time at this point. So I'm curious to know where that's going to go. and because we still haven't seen that. So I don't know. It's all exciting. Overwatch is a game that just keeps giving, and it's awesome. If you don't have it or have been waiting to try it, again, it's at a great price entry point at this point, and they're still doing stuff for it. So it's worth it. It's worth your time. Unless you're Steven and you don't like it.
I'm not saying anything.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to this episode of ChortleCast. We do hope that you have enjoyed it. If you did, there's a few things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com, and you can leave us a nice little comment on this video. We'll comment back, tell us what you've liked, if you agreed with our thoughts on these topics. You can also give that video a like and maybe even subscribe. And if you're an audio listener, you're probably listening through iTunes, you can leave us a review there. Subscribe to the podcasts on iTunes, and that'll help get some movement going on the podcast and really help us out there. You can also email us at chortlecast@gmail.com, and you can basically, if you got a topic you want to hear us talk about on the show, like our favorite games from our childhood or something like that, send us some suggestions in for that. We like those kind of topics. We've done a few in the past and really enjoy them. So if you have any suggestions for that, or if you have a question, or if there's a news story that happened this week and you want to hear our thoughts on it, email us, let us know. Because there's a lot of things that I save, but we end up nixing because we don't know if people would care to hear us talk about it. So feel free to email those to us. You can also tweet us at Chortle Games on Twitter, and we'll tweet you back. And you can also check us out on our Facebook page. Steven is slowly cueing me. You can comment on our Facebook page, check out all that. Steven does a lot of posting on there and punny stuff like that. So you can go check that out there. And then last but not least, we also have a Twitch channel that we post our live streams to. Whenever I can remember to do it, I post our Let's Play stuff to it as well. So feel free to check that out and follow us on there to watch us do some live streams. So yeah, that's it. That's it for this week.
A favorite games from childhood podcast would be very fun.
You know, we're talking about doing some bonus podcasts coming up soon, and I thought about doing that. We had Classy Gamer, who you should also check out on YouTube. We talked a little bit with him about childhood games, talking about Kingdom Hearts and that sort of stuff. But if you watch that podcast, you know it goes off the rails very quickly, and we quickly jump to every other topic possible. So that may be a good topic to come up later. But anyway, what we've got for you this week, tonight, if you're watching the podcast live on Friday, Steven and maybe I will be streaming Far Cry 4 on PlayStation. We'll be live streaming. What are you gonna play the game? Or are you gonna like start a new game? How are you gonna do it, Steven?
It starts slow, and I'm early on in the game, so I figured we can jump into what I'm doing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're basically doing
and that.
You're basically doing this to get hyped for Far Cry 5, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. Like, it's less than a month till 5 comes out, and I never completely beat Far Cry 4, so I'm just kind of working on that.
Okay.
And we'll probably do Far Cry 4 for a little bit, and we may switch to something else, a little more fun to watch. But plan to see Far Cry 4, I think.
That's the one we know for sure. And then, as always, we typically do 2 streams on Friday. Depending on everyone else's availability, we may do something else. Let me toss you something here, Steven. I am getting Moss VR for a Let's Play that'll come out next Wednesday.
Okay.
Which I'll get to in a minute. But we could do a live stream of that if we wanted to flip the script. You know, I've been watching you play Far Cry. We flip and watch me do Moss. It may be interesting. I don't know. We can figure that out. But then this Saturday, we're going to be doing Fortnite. They released a new mode where all the weapons are legendary. We're going to give that a try. I've heard some people say that it's fine. It doesn't change the game too much, but we love to play Fortnite, everyone except for Steven, even though he's probably one of the better people at it. We like playing Fortnite, so we're going to do that. And then we'll probably play something else, maybe some Rocket League or something on Saturday. Next week, Monday, we've got Cuphead, episode 15. We fight an evil ghost train, and we fight Calamaria, who is the sea witch lady that you've probably seen in some advertising. She's one of the bosses they show off a lot. It's very funny. We fight both of those. There's a big ghost-hating theme going on because Calamaria shoots ghost pirates, and Brody gets very, very frustrated about that. So that's interesting to watch. Tuesday, Steven will be continuing his XCOM series. You added a few new characters this week from people.
Yeah, we actually got some people
writing in. So
yeah,
continue to do that. And how can
continue to do that?
How can they do that, Steven?
So please sign up, because this game is busting my balls more than I thought it would. I've got so many wounded. I need more soldiers. I need you guys.
Right.
If the humans are going to win the war for humanity and Earth, you guys have to give me a character. And how can you do that? Well, all I really need is a first and a last name, and they can be fake.
Right.
They
can be.
And if you want
fake. This one of our viewers, she commented and gave us a character, like not even her. I don't even think it's supposed to represent her. It's just, here's this character. I put her in my game. She's awesome. So
it was an Irish girl with a shotgun, a sword, and a cigar, and she's awesome. Yeah. And I love that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, you don't have to inject yourself into the game. Just give me somebody that you want to see in the game to represent you, or just so you can watch and see how they do.
Steven, I'm going to inject one right now because I just thought of this.
Go for it.
Because now that we're saying, like, it can be anything, I want you to make a Geralt from The Witcher. So
I can do that.
I want him to have a sword. I'd prefer a crossbow if that's an option, but I'll take something small pistol-wise. He's got to be more melee heavy. Gray hair and a scar on the eye if possible, and I'll take it.
Okay, so what's his last name?
Geralt. Just do Geralt Rivia.
So first name Geralt, last name Rivia, nickname The Witcher.
Okay, that works. I was gonna say, yeah. Let's just do The Witcher. Yeah, that'll be better. I was gonna say Butcher of Baskerville, but that may not make sense to most people. So Witcher is a better idea.
Too. And that's the thing, like, that's totally doable, because there's a class called the Ranger that uses swords, and I'm probably just going to make him a pure sword ranger with maybe a bolt caster, which is kind of like a bow.
That works
for a long range weapon.
Perfect. So go comment. You can go to our Facebook page and look for a post about XCOM. You can comment there. Steven usually tweets around Monday talking about XCOM, getting ready for it, so you can comment on those tweets. Just put it out there. We'll see it. We'll get it in. We'll make sure your character is included.
Anywhere that you can comment to us.
We'll see
on
it,
Facebook, on Twitter. We'll see it, and we'll know. Yeah.
Wednesday is going to be Moss on PlayStation VR. This is the exciting game from VR that's got the mouse that can do sign language, and he's got a sword. I'm really excited to try it out this weekend and play it. It reminds me a lot of Reepicheep from Chronicles of Narnia, so I'm really, really excited to see how this goes. But that's going to be on Wednesday. And then Thursday, the 8th, we'll have another couch co-op live stream. Do you know what y'all are doing yet, Steven, for that?
Not yet. We got to get through the first one first.
Got to get through the first one. Maybe Gang Beast or something like that. It'll be a couch co-op game. It'll be where everybody's on one screen.
It'll be a game. Everybody on one screen, preferably a top-down, so that you don't have to watch the split screens,
right.
Something less disorienting. So something like Helldivers, Gauntlet, Gang Beasts, not Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Ooh, yeah.
Stuff like that. That's the kind of games
we'll let you know, but that's our couch co-op live stream on Thursdays. And then next Friday, we're going to have the whole crew up in my neck of the woods. So we're going to for sure do a live stream of Hitman. We're going to do an escalation live stream. And then we don't know what we're going to do on Saturday yet. But again, stay tuned to our Twitter and Facebook and all that good stuff. And of course, we'll have another great podcast for you next Friday. So, Steven, thank you as always for tuning in or joining me and hosting.
Yes.
This has been a fabulous No Bro Hype Train show. That's a mouthful right there.
It is.
Do you have any closing thoughts for us as we depart and let these fine people travel on their way into a bright new world of March 2018?
Gosh, that was a lot of build-up for Far Cry 5. Look forward to it. It's gonna be good. That's it. I'm hyped on it. I don't know what else to say. I don't do good on the spot.
The hype train is coming into the station, baby. Woo, woo.
Yes.
We'll see you next week.